People can only see less than 1% of what surrounds us. 99% is invisible. And one of the most incredible and sometimes disturbing of those invisible things is us. Our bodies are worlds unto themselves. We even have our own atmospheres, churning air and debris all around us, fueled by the heat of our core. As we walk through life, we remain blissfully unaware of the billions of organisms that call us home. Welcome to the invisible planet of you. And you are not alone. A great place to meet these creatures is here. An everyday barbershop in a small town, as Professor Gary Settles knows well.
There's the barbershop.
All right, perfect. He's an expert in the science of the invisible. Fellas, how you doing?
How you doing? How are you?
The barbershop looks clean. The air seems clear. But Gary knows that even the cleanest of environments cannot avoid being contaminated by the strangest but most common pollutant in our homes. It's number 21 on our countdown, human dust.
Here's an experiment you can do at home. Take your finger and run it across maybe the top of the refrigerator,
right?
And you pick up this grayish, kind of slippery house dust.
Dust, yeah, it's pretty common stuff.
70 to 90% human skin.
In fact, 30 to 40,000 dead skin cells are raining off my body every minute. They float up around me and ultimately settle to the floor, but not for long. Our discarded skin is a feast for harmless but creepy-looking creatures that share our homes, our offices, even our beds. And who come in at number 20, dust mites. Dust-eating mites are all around us. Millions in a single pillow. So these dust mites eat our dead human skin and then excrete allergy-causing crap, literally.
That's right.
This is terrible. I gotta show these guys. Hey, fellas, check this out. So Gary was just telling me that we're constantly shedding our skin. And this is the object that's eating it. That's a dust mite. Wow. So that lobster-looking thing, those are invisible. There's a buffet going on around us, a smorgasbord. All the skin that's sloughing off, these guys are feasting on.
Oh, jeez. You know, these are descended from spiders, arachnids. They've got 8 legs, just like a spider.
I don't like spiders either. I certainly don't like dust mites. I was glad they're not on my face. I don't like the idea of spiders crawling around on me.
I hate to tell you this, pal, but there are some things like that on your face.
This face?
Uh-huh.
What Gary's talking about is one of the most surprising aspects of the invisible world. The fact that we humans are host to a universe of organisms, whether we like it or not. Not millions, but billions of creatures live in us and on us. And it all starts with number 19 on the countdown, your incredible bacterial skin. Okay, I'm looking close and all I see is my incredibly good-looking mug. What am I missing here?
Well, if you could see the microscopic view, your skin would look like a surface of an alien planet.
My skin was only sterile once, when I was in the womb. Then the moment I was born, I began to be colonized. And now the hair follicles on my skin's surface hover over a busy metropolis teeming with millions of bacteria. Luckily, most of them are not only harmless, they actually help by crowding out more harmful bacteria that would otherwise take up that space and potentially make me sick. But bacteria are one thing. Actual living, breathing animals are another. And I'm about to come face to face with an animal that makes its home on my face. Prepare to meet number 18 on the countdown, the eyelash invaders.
Take a good look at your eyelashes.
Okay, kind of lush.
And you probably don't want to hear this, but there are some little creatures living in there.
Oh, come on.
Demodix funiculora. They live in the hair follicles, and they're little mites.
They may be little, but there sure are a lot of them. About 2 million are living in the roots of my lashes and eyebrows, feasting on skin oil and dead cells.
They come out at night to mate while you're asleep.
Oh, you're kidding me. So while I'm being restful, these guys are getting busy on my face.
That's right.
I gotta be honest, all this talk of all these organisms that are on my face, calling it a planet, calling it home, they just want to get rid of them. Dave, I need a shave.
But as I'm about to discover, even something as simple as getting rid of facial hair is a pretty horrifying operation when you pull back the screen of the invisible. So at number 17, get ready for the hidden horror of the shave. The razor seems as sharp as, well, a razor. But what you can't see is that it's really as jagged and blunt as a rusty rake.
Now we're gonna start eliminating the unwanted flora and fauna on my face. Or at least giving me a smoother,
Every last one of them.
My dry hair follicles are as strong as copper wire, so the shaving cream dissolves their protective oils, allowing the water to seep in and soften the keratin.
So right now the Demodex think there's just a foam party going on like Cancun in spring break, right? You've been down there, Gary. Come on, Professor.
Now we're using the axe. There we go.
As the razor glides over my skin, it feels smooth enough. But what I can't see is that it's actually wreaking invisible havoc. We've all seen those graphics from razor commercials, but here's what's actually happening.
So from the point of view of the bacteria, this is like the giant blade from space coming down and chopping all the trees.
My flesh doesn't fare any better. Gashes tear open in my skin and fill with tiny oceans of blood seeping from my broken capillaries. Up close, Dave's razor is coated with 500,000 skin cells and millions of bacteria, which is why he drops it into a familiar blue solution that was first cooked up in a Brooklyn bathtub in 1947. It's Barbicide, a potent killer of bacteria and fungi. The results are instant annihilation.
Okay, and I believe that will about do it.
Well, it's nice. I feel rugged. It's like I was in a battle. Like it was me versus all the bacteria on my face. And yeah, I got some cuts, but you should see the other guy. Huh? See you, Dave.
Yeah.
Ready to face the ladies?
Now Gary has a surprise for me. We're going back to his lab, where he's figured out a way to photograph number 16 on our list, the invisible winds. To do it, he uses a mind-boggling process known as Schlerin photography. How does Schlerin work? Well, it uses the fact that light travels at slightly different speeds through different temperatures. Slower through cold air, faster through warm.
So what is Schlerin?
The warmer the air, the faster the light travels, just by a tiny amount. And this causes it to bend through an extremely small angle. That's called refraction.
Schlerin takes the light bending through these slight temperature differences and turns it into a visible image. So the invisible air currents flowing around us suddenly come to life in a way humans had never seen until now. Gary and his graduate students have explored the otherworldly effects of Schlerin photography on our everyday mundane actions.
Get away from this mirror.
In the process, they're opening a remarkable window onto the invisible cyclones that swirl around a cough. A gunshot. even the sniffing noses of our best friends. As this dog exhales, his breath shoots downwards, away from what he's sniffing. It's one of canine evolution's neatest tricks, allowing him to inhale the pure scent of his target. A Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. The sharp line of a Shockwave zooms from the barrel, followed by invisible billows of propellant gas. The sound waves from a trumpet seem to linger in the air in front of it. Music made visible. But the most amazing thing Schlerin reveals is us.
Well, let's see it in practice.
All right.
So I just sit right here.
Sit right in front of the mirror.
I'm about to experience a phenomenon that surrounds all of us, all the time.
And there you see yourself with all your hot air visible.
Oh, my God.
And thanks to Schlerin photography, we can now reveal that phenomenon. Number 15 on our countdown, the human thermal plume.
Wow. So this is the heat coming off of me, the atmosphere that exists around the body.
That's your human thermal plume.
That's amazing. The heat just radiating off my, oh, even my fingers.
Yep. Because your skin is warmer than the
I'm
surrounding air.
steaming.
Yep.
It's like I'm a magician. Smoke.
Traditional infrared cameras also let us visualize invisible heat. But not like this.
Here you're not looking at surfaces, you're looking at the air. And you're seeing the temperature differences in the air.
So what happens when we introduce extreme heat? I've got a little
Well,
cigarette lighter
Start
here.
first with the butane, and just let a little butane out, and you can see that
So
the
now I'm just
butane-
pushing the button down.
The butane is heavier than air, so it should fall. It gets caught up in the warm air, though, but yeah, you can
Oh,
see
you can
it.
see it coming down.
Okay.
It's getting caught up in my plume, huh?
Butane is denser than air. It gets caught in your plume.
Oh,
And when you light it-
oh, wow. Oh, my God. It looks like Old Faithful. That is unbelievable. And so that's not butane. This is literally just the hot air
Yes.
rising, and it gets turbulent. Now, when we look at my plume, it's much less dramatic, and that's because it's got a greater heat
It's a
differential.
lot hotter.
This is amazing. I can wow. And so I can manipulate this flow of hot air now.
Yeah.
So this is physics at work.
Physics made visible. You spray it, you'll see a very turbulent.
The amazing invisible reality that Schlerin reveals can only be photographed in places like Gary's lab. But similar forces are swirling around us every minute of every day, including in our cars, where they turn air into a deadly force, melt the very rubber of our tires, and turn a racetrack into an illuminated wonderland you never realized was there. And one place the invisible has us in its iron grip is behind the wheels of our cars. So what better place to steer into their secrets than a racetrack?
Deandra,
Matt,
pleasure meeting you.
Meet you.
So you literally wrote the textbook on the physics of NASCAR.
I did.
So you will be able to explain to me the invisible forces that these cars face at high speeds?
not only explain them, I'm going to be able to let you experience them firsthand.
Oh my God, it's like an earthquake. Let's get to it.
Go.
Every time you get in your car, you have to contend with an invisible force that generations of car designers have struggled to master. It's number 14 on our countdown, the ocean of air.
What would you say is the main invisible force that these drivers have to contend with?
I think the most significant invisible force is going to be air. Air is just like water. So you can imagine a car driving through the air is like if you were walking through water. You have to move the air molecules out of the way in order to go forward.
Now, that's an interesting way. I've never really thought of air as a fluid.
You are.
So even as I'm sitting here, I'm surrounded by billions and billions of air molecules. And I can move them just like that. I move billions of molecules of air.
You did.
My slow-moving arm simply wafts the molecules aside. But as the race car struggles to cut through at 200 miles per hour, the air molecules smash against it, barely able to get out of the way fast enough.
So how do these cars cope with this invisible force?
Well, they're designed to optimize that force. You want everything to be smooth because what you're aiming for is for the air to go as smoothly over the car as possible.
So car designers use wind tunnels to make the invisible visible. Smoke trails rake every inch of a modern car, looking for anything that interrupts the smooth flow of air. On many of today's models, even the most minute angle is designed to minimize invisible drag, which is why so many fuel-efficient cars have such strange, oblong shapes.
Now, what about this here? What is this?
This is called a splitter, and the purpose of the splitter is to give the car front downforce.
As air molecules crash into the front of the speeding car, the splitter traps some of them above it. The powerful vortex creates a high-pressure zone that presses down the front of the racer. Without it, a fatal rush of air builds up beneath the car, causing lift. Good for airplanes, but potentially disastrous for cars. As molecules pour over the back of the car, a spoiler, named because it spoils the dangerous rush of air, does the same thing, but for a different invisible reason.
When you have a spoiler, when the air starts coming over the car, it gets going really fast over the top of the car. And the faster the air moves, the less pressure. You want pressure because pressure is downforce.
Okay.
So the splitter gives you front downforce. The spoiler gives you rear downforce. That's going to push the rear wheels into the ground. And again, pushing down means grip. Grip means fast.
We go again. I feel like I want to get inside the car now.
Let's go.
It's thin. I mean, this just feels like a regular jump.
This will be my first time in a 700 horsepower car that can hit 200 miles per hour.
All right, wish me luck. I love you, Mom!
Oh, baby! Wow! We are flying! Going 150! These turns are unbelievable!
As the splitter and spoiler on my race car exert downforce and press the tires into the track, a new invisible force comes into play. The fact that when we drive, we're actually flowing on number 13 on our countdown, the river of molten rubber. At 300 to 350 degrees, the molecules of the car's tires liquefy and lay down an invisible sheen of molten rubber, 1/1000th of an inch thick. This sticky river provides grip, which gives the car better traction, allowing it to go faster. But to protect drivers from the effects of too much heat, today's pit crews use infrared cameras like this one to monitor their cars. And these cameras open a spectacular window onto what's really going on behind the wheel and under the hood. Which brings us to number 12 on the countdown, the thermal dynamics of racing. Everything glows in a heat pattern we never see. Yellow and red are hotter, blue is cooler. The intense heat of the undercarriage radiates into the ground below, lighting it up. The track itself glows from the heat of passing tires, in clear contrast with the cool blue of the stands. And at 98.6, people's body heat barely registers next to the far hotter body of the cars, which radiate a patchwork of infrared. This superheated engine seems to glow right through the hood. And the mere touch of a cooler human hand leaves a brief ghostly imprint on a burning hot front tire.
That was awesome. Oh my God.
How was that, man?
That was unbelievable, Blair. Those are the most fun invisible forces I've ever experienced.
You did good. You made us proud.
Yeah, good.
So what are we looking at here?
Well, this is the infrared of your tires after you got off the track.
So this is the heat signature we're looking at, essentially, of the tires.
Exactly.
So I'm looking here. Now, this tire is the hottest.
It is.
So this is my right rear tire. So what does that mean?
Well, when you're accelerating, maybe you felt it. The car goes
Okay.
from the front to the back.
Sure.
And when you turn left, the car shifts from the left to the right.
Okay.
And so when you're accelerating coming out of a corner, you're putting a lot of force on that right rear tire. So if you're really coming up off the corner, then the right rear tire is going to get real hot. If the left front tire had been really hot, that would imply that you were braking real hard going into the corner.
No way. So that means I was driving aggressively.
That means you were
Scientific proof that I am a man behind the wheel of a car. That felt like a race car driver out there.
It took mankind thousands of years to develop technologies to peer into the invisible. But here's another secret. Some of our fellow Earthlings have had technologies like that all along. Built in. Get ready for magnetic sensing bugs, carbon dioxide seeking mosquitoes. What really happens when you're stung by a bee?
Ow.
And oh yes, why it's virtually impossible to swat a fly. To reveal the next 7 numbers on the list, I'm back in Louisiana with my guide Brian,
After you.
biologist Susan Mopper, and her assistant Andre,
You are.
to hunt for creatures with invisible superpowers. The only problem is, these creatures are bugs,
You can jump in the swamp at this point.
and I hate bugs.
Spiders often do.
Well, we don't have to go too far because we'll find some insects and flowers and spiders.
Okay, I'm just more concerned about the Cajun with the machete.
Like aliens from another planet, many of these insects possess powers we can only dream of. Navigating with light spectrums we never see. Communicating with chemicals we never sense.
I don't like spiders. I can just feel this air. Now
As we go deeper into the woods, we're about to encounter one of mankind's deadliest enemies. It's a tiny killer that uses the invisible to literally suck our blood. At number 11 on our countdown, nature's guided missile. Otherwise known as the mosquito.
God,
They'll twist your ankle.
mosquitoes are coming though.
Yeah, they're all getting.
Oh. All right, hold up.
Bad now.
They're all over you.
We're getting eaten alive, buddy. How do they track me?
You're leaving a trail of carbon dioxide.
So my exhalations,
Yes.
that's sending out the dinner bell to
That's
mosquitoes.
Yep.
Stop breathing. They won't find you.
Right.
As we walk, I'm breathing perfectly normally. But what you can't see is that a billowing cloud of carbon dioxide is emanating from my lungs and leaving a trail as it dissipates in the atmosphere. Incredibly, this mosquito can taste my CO2 trail up to half a mile away. It hones in and hurries to its latest victim. In this case, me.
Ow.
And it can track more than just my CO2. As I move, I'm triggering the release of lactic acid from my sweat glands, and she hones in on this invisible trail as well. Unfortunately for mankind, the mosquito's diabolical ability to attack us has deadly consequences. Mosquitoes transmit malaria, West Nile virus, dengue fever, yellow fever, and a dozen other diseases. Their bites kill more humans than any other animal on Earth. About 2 million a year. But mosquitoes aren't the only things that attack in this forest and use the invisible world to do it. Our countdown has now arrived at the top 10 most amazing things in the invisible world. And that brings us to another group of warriors the social insects. These creatures communicate so successfully that their societies rival humans in cooperation, the division of labor, and even the ability to wage war. Witness number 10 on the countdown, chemical communication.
Oh, look, guys. This is a deadly fire ant nest.
Ooh,
Yes.
that looks pretty dormant. So is this abandoned then?
Oh, no, it's very active. There are thousands, maybe even millions of ants below ground. Watch this.
Is that safe to run your finger through their house?
If I do it really fast.
Oh my God.
There we go.
How do they coordinate this attack? I mean, do ants speak?
They speak using chemical signals.
The ant trail looks dry and ordinary. But what we can't see is that it's glistening with invisible pheromones, chemical signals the ants use to mark their way. Thousands of ants race down this invisible trail like a well-marked highway. Invisible pheromones like this influence thousands of species, including mammals, automatically triggering irresistible responses so powerful, it's as though their recipients are programmed like zombies. The impulse to gather, to mate, to calm down, and to flee, all are programmed by an invisible shower of pheromones. As we move deeper into the forest, we have to struggle to see the invisible world around us. But we're being watched every step by millions of eyes.
Okay. Is that a spider or a horse? Oh my God, that thing is huge.
That's a spider. That's a garden spider, a variety of garden spider.
What's amazing is I can barely make out the web. That web must extend 6-7 feet.
The web is virtually invisible, so insects will fly right through it and get caught.
It's hard to miss this huge garden spider, but what we can't see is that all around us, thousands of tiny, invisible spiders are weaving away in just this 100 square feet of forest we're investigating. Their survival depends on defeating the incredible sensitivity of an invisible organ designed to pierce a world completely undetectable to us. You're looking at number 9 on our top 40 list, the greatest eyes on Earth. This dragonfly's compound eyes consist of 30,000 tiny lens-capped optical units called ommatidia. Each is pointing in a different direction, allowing her to see almost everywhere at once. Her ability to sense even the tiniest movement allows her to see things coming in slow motion. She's not the only one, as everyone knows who's tried to swat a fly. Which brings us to the greatest escape artist on Earth. Number 8 on the countdown, nature's Houdini. I'm talking about the common housefly, who has the same ability to see movements that are invisible to us by sensing things in slow-mo. Here's how that power works. As you begin to swat a fly, it will take 1/30th of a second for your hand to strike. But for the fly, that's an eternity. It easily sees your hand coming, maps the trigonometry of the strike, and begins flapping its wings at 200 flaps per second. It's gone, long before your hand crashes down. But eyes like this, designed to detect the slightest movement, are not very good at seeing stationary details, a fact that's lucky for the spider, but fatal for the fly.
So, despite their unbelievable powers of perception, they can't detect the web.
They don't see the web.
It's invisible to them.
That's right, it's invisible. And when they catch something in it, that will disturb the web, so they'll have to...
I don't like being in here with insects, all right? Not as brave as I look, you know.
But as I'm about to discover, in the invisible forest, spiders and mosquitoes are a minor inconvenience compared to a bee sting.
So we got bees out here, huh? Yep. Oh.
Lots of bees.
Like ants, these social insects rely almost entirely on the invisible world to survive. Just finding food is a marvel of detective work. Take this little critter. She has a remarkable tool that comes in at number 7 on our countdown, the magnetic bead. Iron-rich granules embedded in her stomach actually allow her to detect the magnetic lines arcing out from the Earth's molten iron core, which help her navigate. The Chinese discovered evidence of the Earth's magnetic field when they invented the compass in the 8th century AD. But bees already had this power for millions of years. And that's not all. Bees have another power that comes in at number 6 on our list, electrostatic supersense. Both bees and flowers build up a tiny electrostatic charge, invisible to us. As the bee lands to feed on the flower, its electrostatic charge causes the flower's pollen to stick to her. But it also drains the flower's charge, which will take several hours to build up again. As the next bee passes, it can instantly see that the flower's charge is gone and doesn't have to waste its time. Our countdown has made it to the top 5 most amazing things invisible to humans. And that brings us to the invisible power that bees use to coordinate their attacks. Something so devious that a modern high-tech Air Force can barely match it. At number 5 on the countdown, the invisible attack signal.
It's heavy too. I don't want to hear it from you.
When you're stung,
Ow.
the harpoon-like needle is still alive and pumps venom for up to a minute. At the same time, a substance called isoamyl acetate sends out a banana-like smell that attracts other bees. They follow it and sting whatever's emitting it.
So they would emit a pheromone, a banana-scented pheromone in the hive that lets everyone know the hive is under attack. It's kind of like a daiquiri. They know party time. Let's fight.
The ability of insects to use and manipulate the invisible would transform our human lives, if we had such superpowers. But just as likely, access to the invisible universe would swamp us in a chaos of sensory overload. As it is, we can barely sense a mosquito homing in for the kill.
Damn it. Won't leave me alone.
I think you missed it.
Ow. I'm delicious. That's my take-home message.
But there's another take-home message about the invisible world that I'm about to discover as our countdown zooms to number 1. And to find out what it is, I'm gonna take a lot more punishment than a mosquito bite.
Now go with the right hand now.
And my last stop is a boxing ring, where I'm meeting up with fight doctor Matt Jansen to uncover the invisible universe of our bodies themselves. And I'm gonna do it by taking a punch to the face from one of these guys. Invisible changes have thickened their bones and given them lightning-fast reflexes to harness a storm of chemicals that give them near superhuman strength and endurance.
Good.
See now?
Lawrence.
How you doing, Star?
I'm Matt. And who's our fighter here?
Danny.
Danny's our fighter. So, Lawrence, what are we doing right here?
Well, we wrapping hands. What we're trying to do is get the young man ready for a sparring session.
Now, when Danny throws a punch, he's going to be accelerating that punch with his arms, his legs, his back. There's going to be hundreds of pounds of force.
When those hundreds of pounds of force hit my face, it will be too fast for the human eye to see what's really going on. But today, we brought along a device that reveals the invisible worlds we miss in the blink of an eye. Now, earlier in the countdown, we showed how some things are invisible because they happen too slowly to see. But for centuries, the same was true for things that happen too fast, until we developed ultra-high-speed photography. Which brings me to number 4 in our countdown, the super secrets of speed. Slamming into a wall at 150 miles per hour, rock-hard golf ball compresses, rebounds, and resumes its original shape. The secrets of speed animate the insect world as well. Consider the ladybug. Its hardened shell is actually a set of outer wings that evolved to protect the delicate inner wings. These now unfold to 4 times the bug's body size and need to beat at least 3 or 4 times before the bug is airborne. As a water balloon bursts, the rubber peels back at 50 miles per hour, leaving the water itself briefly suspended in space. Ultra-high speed shows that when it comes to the human body, we're not as solid as we think. Take, for example, the invisible world within our fists and behind our skulls.
What goes on in the brain when a punch is delivered?
The brain is contained within the skull, a hard shell, but it doesn't give much protection against the sort of force these boxes are delivering.
As the punches land, the front of the skull collides with the frontal lobe of the brain, where neurons shut down until the brain can repair itself. But with enough swelling, the neurons suffer a temporary short circuit, and the fighter blacks out and hits the mat. But what happens on the inside is only part of the invisible equation of a punch. Thanks to ultra-high speed, you're about to see why this next phenomena is number 3 on the countdown, our incredible fluid flesh.
So which one of you guys is gonna punch me? Who hits harder?
I do.
Let's do this, Danny. You and me, buddy. Here we go. And remember, I said I'm a big fan of yours, right? I'm stepping through the rings for the first time in my life. So I'm about to get punched in the face. The last fight I was in, I think, was 6th grade. And I'll be honest, I've never been punched in the face. This has never been struck with a fist.
Left hook, right hook?
I don't know.
What's left hook? So left hook, left hook.
But I have to say, I do want to see what happens, what these guys go through, so I'm willing to experience this. As long as I don't pee my pants and end up knocked out, I consider this a victory.
Okay, is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing monitor here.
So, let's do this. This is among the worst decisions in my life.
Slow test. Okay, is everyone ready?
Here goes nothing.
Let's do this.
Roll cameras. Roll sound. Action!
All right.
How you doing? That was a good shot. Oh. All right, guys, we have the high-speed footage of me getting punched in the face. And before we roll it, let me remind you, this is for science. Keep the laughter to a minimum. Hit it.
As soon as the punch lands, all the momentum is transferred to my face. There's bone underneath there, of course, but my loosely packed skin and fat cells really are a fluid. They act like a shock absorber, distributing the impact in huge ripples.
Oh! Somebody forgot the dub.
Wow!
The bony bridge of my nose is immediately displaced. As the momentum flows to the opposite side of my face, the flesh over my left cheekbone expands out in a huge temporary bulge.
Somebody forgot the get down.
Our understanding of invisible processes like this took a giant step forward in 1895. German physicist W.C. Röntgen was experimenting with cathode ray tubes and noticed they emitted a strange green-colored light even through the heaviest black paper. When he photographed his wife's hand using this light, he made a revolutionary discovery. It could penetrate flesh, but not bone. Röntgen's discovery of X-rays transformed our understanding of the invisible world beneath our skin. But it was only when scientists put X-rays into action that they exposed something that people had been in the dark about for centuries. At number 2 on our countdown, the secret motion of life. The amazing flexibility of a foot, ankle, and leg can only be seen this way. As the knee flexes, the kneecap seems to float over it like a separate entity. And motion X-rays have taught us just as much about the invisible life of animals. A 3-toed sloth, the world's slowest mammal, shows off its impressive ability to grasp a branch, a useful talent since it spends its entire life in trees. And an iguana is an excellent climber, thanks to a flexible shoulder that lets him pivot his legs inward. The delicate hand bones revealed in X-rays have to be strong when doing something like, for instance, punching me in the face. Röntgen named his discovery the X-ray, with X standing for unknown. Today we know that X-rays are simply part of the electromagnetic spectrum. But now, as the countdown comes to an end, get ready for something that's truly unknown and so staggering that it stands as perhaps the greatest mystery in the cosmos. The fact that 83% of the universe is made of something that's completely invisible. Topping off our list at number 1, the incredible enigma of dark matter. Beginning in the 1930s, astronomers discovered something very disturbing about the universe. The galaxies were not moving through space the way the laws of gravity would predict. And the only possible explanation was that all the matter we see, stars, planets, gas, dust, even black holes, only constitutes about 17% of the actual matter of the universe. The other 83%, the vast majority of creation, is totally invisible to humans. Scientists named this missing mass dark matter, and to this day, they have no real idea what it is. Some theorize that dark matter may be concentrated in black holes or in failed stars called brown dwarfs. But others think it might permeate the whole universe, meaning it might be passing right through us, right here on Earth. The only certainties are that dark matter is most of the universe, that we have no idea what it is, and that it's totally invisible. So that's it. Whether it's something as familiar as a backyard barbecue or as exotic as the stratosphere, the take-home lesson is the same. We're surrounded by an invisible universe that's as surprising and unexpected as anything we can actually see.